Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for clicking in. Guys, this is a group of South Africans who left South Africa for America under the guise of genocide in South Africa. There is no such, like I said. I hope you have watched my shorts. I said there is no genocide in South Africa. I want you to listen to Minister of Police in South Africa, what he says about genocide in South Africa. And then I also want you to listen to American parliamentarians when they were debating about this issue of this group of people. And let me know what you think on the comment section, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Minister, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. So, the allegation goes, and in fact this week it escalated in a way ahead of President Ramaphosa's visit to the United States. It escalated in a way in that XAI, owned by Elon Musk, somehow in trying to amplify this message of a white genocide in South Africa, they engineered such that whatever query people were putting online to the chatbot, that is Grok, it returned and inserted a message that says, yeah, you may be asking about the weather in Johannesburg today, but don't forget about the white genocide happening in South Africa. You may be asking who's the UN Secretary General, but don't forget about the genocide in South Africa, and so on and so on. So just to put this to rest, Minister, as far as you are concerned, do we have a phenomenon in this country in the form of crimes, domestic crimes, crimes at international law, that anyway approximates a genocide, a white genocide?
Not at all. Not at all. And we do want to say, if there was an English word that clarifies or that could replace denial, I would have gone for that word, because denial often is used even by people who would have done that which they later deny. But in the absence of any other English word that I know, we deny emphatically and were backed by evidence in figures, and figures don't lie, that there is no genocide, white genocide in South Africa, whether from farms or elsewhere. And we keep accurate statistics, scientific statistics of murders, including on farms in South Africa. And that's not our everyday experience. It's just foreign that we are now told that there's white genocide in South Africa. I would have preferred, and who would have South African government have preferred, that they quietly slip out of the country if they want to go there, like people do emigrate, but not create a false guise or a false cover, because it's unnecessary. It's also damage the image of our country, where a country like United States of America, known for truth or known for democracy rather, and respected by other countries for its size and all of that, and then they start talking the way they are talking via its president. Very, very disappointing, very, very saddening, and actually very embarrassing to all of us in the world.
Sure.
When it comes to the new arrivals that we saw, what we saw was a president who identified a priority that we fulfilled here at the State Department. And what's also clear is that the refugees that arrived met the same standard that is across the board for refugees. They met that standard. So what we're seeing here is a president who has been clear about his concerns with South Africa, and the State Department has acted on that, and the refugees that we saw met the standard in statute for refugees.
The standard may be uniform, but the speed is not. We have people, Afghans, who are still in refugee camps since the fall of Afghanistan, of the Afghanistan regime, who are waiting to hear about SIV status, who are waiting to hear about refugee status, who have worked with the U.S. They are in Doha, they are in Albania, they're in Pakistan for years waiting to get the kind of treatment And that is not a DHS function, that is a State Department function.
Well, on that SIV front, SIV interviews continue. That process continues. What we have seen, again, is a president being very clear about concerns he has regarding South Africa and the treatment of Afrikaners in South Africa.
And the data to back that up?
Oh,
Or is it all anecdotal from advisors?
well, this has been a concern that the president's had for a very long time. He's been clear about that for years, about the abuses we are seeing in South Africa. So this is a priority outlined by the president. The president then directed the State Department and others to implement that priority, and we're seeing the State Department fulfill those executive orders.
Is there a formal genocide investigation underway at the State Department?
Look, again, the president has spoken to this. Our freest comments, nothing further to add on that front.
But Tommy, just to follow up, I mean, what evidence can you share today from the podium to underscore there's a genocide going on in South Africa against the white?
Well, look, the president, again, has been very clear on this. Our free to his comments. When it comes to the treatment of the refugees that we saw arrive, that is that same standard in statute for refugees.
Yeah,
and there were harrowing stories that they told about the treatment that they suffered. So what we are seeing is a problem that's been identified by the president and the State Department fulfilling those executive orders. So again, we have heard these stories that have come through. The refugees there met the same statute for refugees that is uniform and standard, and that will continue to implement the president's priorities in this regard.
I just have one more question on this.
Sure.
You said they met the same statute, which indicates that there are others who are in the same exact boat that they are in right now around the world. So why was it a decision to prioritize these refugees over other refugees? And was there any racial element to this because they're white?
So I wanted just on that first part, what I mean there is there's a certain standard that's outlined. There's certain criteria that needs to be met. That's what I meant in terms of that standard. So there's a certain standard that is applied when someone's applying for a refugee status in this program. And so that standard is uniform across the board. So I want to clarify that aspect of it. And again, the president has been very clear about the actions we are seeing in South Africa, the fact that this was a priority laid out by the president and the State Department is fulfilling that priority.
And you don't want to speak to any racial reasoning for allowing them to come in being white refugees versus not allowing any Latino or people of color coming into the U.S. as refugees this year?
Fundamentally, what we have seen are harrowing stories from those refugees. They have met the standard that is applicable for those refugees. We have seen that process play out. This has been a priority for the president. And again, just looking at this scenario, we have heard harrowing stories here. That is what is at issue here. The fact that these people have gone through certain conditions. We have seen that standard for refugees applied. They have gone through this process. It's a priority from the president, and that's why we're seeing the actions that were taken.
Just follow up on that.
All right.
Thanks, Tommy.
I think also we're asking because the determination of genocide is normally something that is determined by the Secretary of State. So just want to clarify, are you saying that this is now something that is determined by the President of the United States? And that's why I think Andrew was asking if there is an investigation in this building into whether that designation for genocide is being determined in this building still, or if something has changed.
Well, again, as I said, the president's been very clear about the issues that we have regarding South Africa. He's been very clear on that continually. I have nothing further to add at this
But it's a
point.
legal determination. It's not a determination made by the President of the United States. That's why we're asking.
Again, I address this issue in terms of the president's been very clear about the issues we've seen from the State Department's perspective. There's a priority laid out by the president. We are fulfilling that priority. And again, the stories that we have heard are harrowing. And so we're seeing the fact that these people have met that same standard for refugees, and we're seeing the State Department fulfill the executive orders of the president.